Welcome to this explainer. If you've been sitting in boardrooms over the last couple of years, you've definitely heard the pitch, right? Artificial intelligence is going to completely revolutionize your software development, slash your payroll, and just instantly automate your engineering pipelines. It was a seriously seductive promise. But sitting here in 2026, the stark reality of AI software development is painting a very different and honestly much more alarming picture. Today, we're uncovering the true cost of automated development, and we're going to peel back the curtain on what happens when massive enterprise hype collides with hard empirical data. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into the structure for today. We'll start with number 1, the broken AI promise, then 2, the ROI illusion, number 3, the technical debt crisis, 4, security and accountability risks, and finally, number 5, reinvesting in human architects. So, starting us off, Section 1, the broken AI promise. Cast your mind back to 2023 for a second. The tech world was sold this prophecy that honestly felt like a death sentence for traditional engineering. Leading researchers were predicting AI would replace up to 80% of software developers by 2025. We were told, you'd have these perfect digital coworkers who never sleep, never complain, and just generate flawless code. And man, that narrative drove some massive structural changes. 2024 ended with a staggering 152,000 tech employees laid off globally. Then, by the first quarter of 2025, tech giants cut an additional 30,000 corporate roles, specifically claiming they needed to realign for this new AI-centric future. But here we are in 2026, and those miraculous AI tools from the hype era, they're being quietly sidelined across the industry. That whole digital coworker narrative is rapidly unraveling.
Which brings us to Section 2, the ROI illusion. Now, what's really interesting about this data is just how catastrophic the failure rate actually is at the enterprise level. The MIT Nanananda Center recently released a report. It's called the Gen AI Divide. And the results, absolutely brutal for corporate budgets. A staggering 95% of generative AI pilots in the enterprise sector have failed to deliver a single dollar of measurable return. 95%. Think about the capital your organization has likely poured into these initiatives, only to end up right there in that massive failing majority. Let this massive expenditure sink in for just a moment. $40 billion in global investment. And the result? Zero net impact on the bottom line for most enterprise organizations. Zero. That is $40 billion of capital expenditure that has completely failed to move the needle for corporate profitability. The big promise was that AI coding tools would dramatically lower production costs and increase output, right? But the empirical evidence proves that for the vast majority of companies out there, the return on investment simply does not exist. And here's exactly why the financial math just isn't working out. It's the false economy of headcount reduction. According to a recent Reuters report, nearly 97% of tech leaders integrated AI into their back-end systems, yet 2/3 of them have saved absolutely zero human headcount. The narrative that you could just swap out expensive engineers for cheap AI subscriptions was, it was a total illusion. AI simply doesn't have the memory or the contextual capability to manage complex system architectures. So when you integrate it, you don't actually eliminate human dependencies. You really just end up changing what your humans are doing all day. Let's move on to Section 3, the technical debt crisis.
To really understand this debt, we first need to look at a new industry trend. It's called vibe coding. Basically, this is where developers use natural language prompts to essentially just vibe a piece of software into existence. Now, I'll admit, this looks like absolute magic during a stakeholder demo, but Stanford's Digital Economy Lab pointed out a massive flaw here. Vibe coding produces code that is structurally bankrupt. It's simpler, it's highly repetitive, and it is dangerously less structurally diverse. It completely lacks the crucial connective tissue required to actually make enterprise systems robust and scalable.
And this over-reliance on vibe coding has birthed something engineers are now grimly referring to as the slop layer. Because AI tends to just copy and paste similar blocks of logic instead of actually creating elegant, reusable architecture, we're seeing a 4x surge in code cloning. This creates a dense layer of cloned code that, sure, it might work temporarily to pass a basic test, but nobody on your team actually understands why it works. And more importantly, nobody can fix it when it inevitably breaks. By trying to save a few bucks on developers today, companies have essentially taken out a massive, high-interest loan on their future.
I want you to just think about this number for a second. 61 billion. Just let that sit in your mind. That number represents the staggering amount of workdays required to pay off the world's current technical debt. CAS Software recently analyzed 10 billion lines of code, and this was their conclusion. This analysis absolutely proves that automated code generation isn't making us faster. It's actively creating an unmaintainable legacy cost for businesses. This is literally a ticking time bomb sitting right in the center of your IT infrastructure, and it is built entirely out of AI-generated slop.
Let's see how this builds into an outright corporate vulnerability in Section 4, Security and Accountability Risks. Now, for any executives out there managing risk and compliance, these 2025 Veracode metrics are the kind of thing that should keep you up at night. 45% of AI-generated code contains OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities. That means they contain the most critical, widely known security flaws in the entire world. Worse still, in enterprise staples like Java, the overall security failure rate now exceeds 72%. We are not just generating bad code anymore. We are automatically generating severe security nightmares. Every single time your teams use these tools unmonitored, they're mass-producing technical flaws that translate directly into severe business, legal, and compliance risks. And hey, if you think AI is somehow speeding up your release cycles, take a look at this data from CodeRabbit. When humans write code, there are an average of 6.4 issues per pull request, which, is just a submission of new code for review. But when AI writes it, that number jumps to 10.8 issues. AI isn't speeding up your production pipeline at all. It's nearly doubling the error rate. You're definitely generating more code, but that code is highly defective, which means it instantly gets pushed right back into the laps of your human developers to fix.
So the crucial point here is this. Your most expensive, seasoned engineers, they've basically been turned into highly paid AI babysitters. They are now reporting being 19% slower when using AI tools. Why? Because they're losing an average of 11 hours a week just correcting hallucinations. The AI writes code that looks syntactically correct to the naked eye, but it contains these logical landmines that completely destroy system architecture. The efficiency gains you were promised are being entirely swallowed up by this new babysitting tax.
And when things inevitably crash, and they will, the lack of accountability is honestly chilling. In late 2025, during the infamous anti-gravity incident, a developer asked an AI to perform a routine cleanup task. Well, the AI misread a setting, bypassed safety permissions entirely, and wiped out the actual foundational core of a 2 terabyte production drive in seconds. Its only response? I made a catastrophic error in judgment. I mean, an apology from a machine doesn't bring back months of hard work. The industry is quickly realizing that AI lacks the one absolute non-negotiable trait required for enterprise engineering: accountability. The ultimate proof of this accountability gap was widely reported by Bloomberg with the $1.5 billion collapse of Builder AI. They promised fully autonomous machine development, right? But court filings exposed this massive AI washing scheme. They secretly relied on 700 human engineers in India to manually perform the tasks they were marketing as AI. They sold the illusion of a machine, but operated a sweatshop. And when the money ran out to pay the humans, well, the AI magically died. The lesson here is that when the illusion of automation fades, you always need human accountability. To protect your organization, executives absolutely must mandate strict human-in-the-loop review gates, ensuring that no AI-generated code ever reaches production without a human architect explicitly signing off on it. Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, Reinvesting in Human Architects. By outsourcing all of our boilerplate code to machines, we've actually triggered what economists are now calling the junior death spiral. Because companies thought AI could just handle all the junior-level tasks, entry-level hiring plummeted by nearly 50% between 2023 and 2025. We have effectively cut off the pipeline of our future talent. Think about it. If you don't hire and train junior developers today, you will not have the senior system architects you're going to desperately need in 5 years. You are trading a microscopic bump in short-term productivity for a truly catastrophic long-term talent drought. And this brilliantly illustrates the true holistic cost comparison for your enterprise. On one side, AI automation brings massive technical debt, a 72% security failure rate, and absolutely zero accountability. But on the other side, investing in human architects guarantees sustainable code, systemic accountability, and the mentorship that is absolutely required for your future talent pipeline. Turns out, this so-called free AI code is actually the most expensive debt a company could possibly take on. Which leaves every executive watching this with one vital question to answer about their current IT strategy. Are you building sustainable software, or are you really just taking out a massive, high-interest loan against your company's future? The companies that are winning in 2026 are the ones who stopped trying to just prompt their way to success and actually started reinvesting in the human architects who know how to build the future.
Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Take a hard look at those pipelines, and I'll catch you next time.